أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير. ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير. وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير. إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير. وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير. إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور. ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير. هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير. ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير. أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير. أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور. أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور. أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه يهدى أمن يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم. قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون. قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين آمنا بالله وصدق الله العلي العظيم.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'll be reciting a poem that was written by Nur Sadar. I stand alone, gazing at the stars as they may answer a burning question. Where does my son Ali Akbar lie? As alone I wait for my son's return. Alone I stand, and alone I ask, will my son return? Will my son return? Within these tents, only my shadow holds onto my heart, and within its hand I gaze out, and no one comforts me but an unsure path and the burning sands, and only the stars I have to ask, will my son return? Will my son return? A heart heavy with my screams and cries, and alone I must bear its weight on me. For my path, my future, the soul within me, I bear this weight, and with grief I ask, will my son return? Will my son return? Within this absence, the whispers in me tell me you're beloved, for you does not care. I answer every whisper with hope. I know my absence and my beloved can't bear, and yet the doubt in my heart, it asks, will my son return? Will my son return? A trail and stained with my son's blood taunts the mother's soul with the hint of death. With every haunt, my heart longs to seize and calls for death to take away my breath. A mother with her son's absence asks, will my son return? Will my son return? Beside me only sits my only patience, as tonight patience is my only friend. When once my son was my only one true friend, and I truly thought, would it be till the end? And with this uncertainty I ask, Will my son return? Will my son return? I raise my hands with tears in my eyes, and my heart it cries, Lord, answer this prayer like you returned Yusuf to Yaqub. Return my beloved Ali Akbar, and this mother's womb, for him it asks, will my son return? Will my son return? How can my eyes settle until they see the portrait of my beloved's beauty? How can the weight of my heart's dark grief rest with it abides in this tragedy? And every beat of this heart it asks, will my son return? Will my son return? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو؟ تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو.
اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو؟ تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. اس عالم غربت میں تمہیں جان دوں کیسے؟ اس داشت مصیبت میں تمہیں جان دوں کیسے؟ اس وقت قیامت میں تمہیں جان دوں کیسے؟ اے لال جو تم اذن بگاہ مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو؟ تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو.
کیا گزرے گی اس باپ کے دل پر نہیں سوچا؟ تم نے یہ میری جان علی اکبر نہیں سوچا؟ مر جاؤں گا میں تجھ سے بچھڑ کر نہیں سوچا؟ تم مجھ سے ضعیفی کا عصا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو؟ تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو.
دل روتا ہے نظروں سے اگر دور ہو بیٹا، کس طرح جدائی تیری منظور ہو بیٹا. تم ہی میری آنکھیں ہو، میرا نور ہو بیٹا. مجھ سے میری آنکھوں کی ضیا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو؟ تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو.
دنیا سے گیا جس گھر محبوب خدا کا، نانا کی زیارت کو طرف تھا نواسا. اے لال تجھے اس لیے خالق سے تھا مانگا،
مقبول ہوئی میری دعا مانگ رہے ہو. تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو؟ تم باپ سے مرنے کی
رضا مانگ رہے ہو.
اسلام پہ خود اپنا لہو رن میں بہاؤ، سینے پہ سینہ شان سے میدان میں کھاؤ. تصویر پیمبر کی سرے خاک ملاؤ کیا اس لیے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو
ایک روز تجھے آنے کے مانگا تھا پھوپھی نے 18 برس نازوں سے پالا تھا پھوپھی نے بیٹوں سے بھی زیادہ تمہیں چاہا تھا پھوپھی نے
احسان جو زینب نے کیا مانگ رہے ہو تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو تم باپ سے مرنے کی
رضا مانگ رہے ہو
سر تیرا بھی جس وقت چرے گا سر نیزہ ہوگا سر میدان جدا سر بھی تمہارا ہم شکل پیمبر کا گلا کاٹیں گے آدھا گویا میرے نانا کا گلا مانگ رہے ہو تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو
بابا مجھے معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہا ہوں ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں بابا مجھے معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہوں
ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں
بابا مجھے اماں نے بھی کچھ درس دیا ہے آداب وفا سے مجھے آگاہ کیا ہے پہلے میں مروں آپ سے وعدہ یہ لیا ہے
بس اس لیے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں بابا مجھے معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہا ہوں ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں
بابا مجھے احوال دل زار پتہ ہے سخت بہت منزل دشوار پتہ ہے اور دین کا مشکل میں ہے سردار پتہ ہے
یوں آپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں بابا مجھے معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہا ہوں ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں
بابا مجھے معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہا ہوں ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد
صلوات علی محمد وآل محمد علی اکبر علی اکبر کہتی تھی یہ ماں خون بھری میت سے لپٹ کر علی اکبر ارمان تا پہناؤں گی پوشاک شانی افسوس کے راس آئے نہ تجھ کوئی جوانی کیسا تھا مقدر ہے علی اکبر اتنا تو ذرا تیرو تمہیں دولہا بنا لوں پھر ایک جلا سحر کی صغرا کو دکھا لوں بے چین ہے خاور ہے علی اکبر ماں تیری جدائی میں بلا کیسے جیے گی مر جائے گی صغرا جو خبر تیری سنے گی اب کیا کرو جی کر علی اکبر تارا برس پال کے پروان چڑھایا وہ گیسو والا ہے میرا خون میں نہایا اب کیا کروں جی کر علی اکبر کرتی تھی زیارت میں پیمبر کی تجھی سے اب گر میں کسے ڈھونڈی میں تشبیہ نبی سے ہم شکل پیمبر ہے علی اکبر تم ہچ کیا لے کے جو دم توڑ رہے ہو ماں سے ہمیشہ کے لیے موڑ رہے ہو کیوں روتے ہو دل بھر आए जो हमें लूटने ख़ैमे में सितमगर माँ देगी सदा है अली अकबर अली अकबर छिन जा गई चादर है अली अकबर पहले तो एक आवाज़ पे उठ जाते थे बेटा अब इतनी सदाओं भी पहलू नहीं बदला क्या हो गया दिल पर है अली अकबर कहती थी ये माँ खून भरी मैयत से लिपट कर है अली अकबर अल-फातिहा मस्सलात
Mu'mineen, Salamun Alaikum Jami'an wa Rahmatullah. Tonight we gather to pay our respects and commemorate the martyrdom of the son of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Hazrat Ali al-Akbar, and in his memory, just one short couplet. Ab dab na paegi kabhi takbir ki sada. Ab दब न पाएगी कभी तकबीर की सदा अकबर ने डाल दी है जवानी अजान में. Now the sounds or the cries of takbir can never be suppressed. Why? Because Akbar alayhi salam has infused the state of youthfulness in the adhan. Can I request one salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Just a few quick announcements. Mu'mineen, the Ashura Day program, as displayed on the screen, will begin at 7 a.m. with our morning Majlis after Fajr. The program will begin with Quran, followed by Marthia, Majlis, Matam, and Ziyarat. Thereafter, the Amal for the day of Ashura will begin at 10:30 a.m., but the ladies also have a program just before that at 9:30 a.m. The Asr Ashur program will be at 1:45 p.m., in which we will have Majlis both in Urdu and English relayed simultaneously via both our channels. The Qabristan Majlis then will be online only at 5 p.m., followed by Ziyarat al-Nahiya. And finally, the Sham-e Ghariba program will begin shortly after Maghribain Salat at 8:40 p.m. And once again, we will have a simultaneous broadcast in both English and Urdu, inshallah. On Saturday, August the 29th, both GIY and JTC have organized an Ashura night program with the recitation of Marthia, Ziyarat al-Nahiya, and Noha. And the program will begin after the conclusion of the main program at approximately 11:30 p.m. Alhamdulillah, we have received over 1,500 registrations for the Ashura Day Niyaz. Delivery for those living in the vicinity of JCC will be between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. And for those in the vicinity of Masumeen and the Razavi Center, delivery will be between 3:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. For curbside pickup, JCC will accommodate drive-through pickup between 10:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. and again in the afternoon from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. At Masumeen, the pickup will begin at 3:30 p.m. An email will be sent out to all those who have registered by tomorrow afternoon with details relevant to their registration. The annual Muharram blood drive is back again this year. For those living in the East End, arrangements have been made to donate blood at the Hillcrest Mall Permanent Blood Door Center. The last day to do so is tomorrow, Saturday, between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. But for those living in the West End, arrangements have been made at the Canadian Blood Services Donor Center in Mississauga for Saturday, September 26th at 10:30 a.m. For more information, please refer to the slides on the screen. The Children's Majlis program catering to children ages 5 to 8 is uploading a new Majlis at 4 p.m. daily for the 12 days of Muharram. For more information, please visit jafri.org/children's majalis. The Jafri Support Services is hosting a Q&A and discussion with Sayyid Asad Jafri on Friday, September the 4th at 5 p.m. on the topic Seeking to Understand and Be Understood, Building Bridges Between Youth and Their Parents. For details on how to join, please see the details on the screen. The ISIJ of Toronto has arranged for individuals with members of their household to pay their respects to the Alams and Zarith at JCC, Masumin and Razavi. While the last day was today for Masumin, we are still accepting registrations for JCC as well as RCC. For more details, please visit jafri.org/paying-respects. The Masumin Tabligh Committee and the Masumin Children's Committee have organized an activity this Muharram to give children the opportunity to take part in the commemoration of Aza of Imam Hussain alayhi salam by expressing how they see Karbala through their eyes. We are asking families to encourage their children to participate by submitting a short 1-minute video or photos, scans of artwork, posters, or banners that they have created showing their connection with the events of Karbala this Muharram. Submissions will be compiled and broadcasted in segments during the ISIJ programs after the 20th of Muharram and before the end of Safar. Interested participants can send their submissions via email at tabligh@masumin.org. This is open to all of the ISIJ community children. Please submit your entries by September the 4th, along with the name and age of your child. Next, can I request a Surah Fatiha for the marhumin whose names are listed on the screen, please. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. As-sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayr al-maghdubi alayhim wa la-d-dallin. Can I also request a dua shifa for all those whose names are listed on the screen, as well as those in need of our du'as. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amman yujibul mudtarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. 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 أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Can I now request the AV team to please play the short membership video, please? Thank you.
Salam alaikum. It's time to renew your membership to the ISIJ. And now, you can do that online. In this video, I'm going to show you how to access your account and renew your membership. First, open up your web browser and go to portal.jafri.org. Next, you'll need to enter your email that is associated with the ISIJ. Now enter your password. If you don't remember your password, click Forgot Password and your password will be sent to your email. Once you've entered your password, you'll be brought to the dashboard. To renew your membership, you can either click on the Membership tab or click on the top bar. You will see a summary of your membership and the amount due for this year. If you scroll down, you can proceed to pay for your 2020-2021 annual membership. Enter the cardholder's name and credit card details. You can also select your payment frequency. You can choose to pay in full, or you can make 2, 6, or 10 payments. There is also an option to apply a waiver of 20% due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The waiver is optional. If you wish to apply the waiver, check the box. Then, click Pay, and you're done. If you see a message under Membership stating that your membership has been deactivated, please email admin@jaffrey.org. If you have not used the portal or want to reactivate your membership or want to apply to be a member, please contact our office. And if you have any questions, you can always call or email us. We thank you for your continued support to our organization.
والمحمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى اے درد ذرا تھم جا قیامت کا سما ہے اے درد ذرا تھم جا قیامت کا سما ہے بابا نہ کہیں دیکھ لے بابا نہ کہیں دیکھ لے سینے میں سنا ہے اے درد ذرا تھم جا قیامت کا سما ہے اللہ یہ غم دیکھ کے مر جائے نا بابا سانسیں میری اکھرے تو گزر جائے نا بابا ایک خون کا دریا میرے ایک خون کا دریا میرے سینے سے رواں ہے اے درد ذرا تھم جا قیامت کا سما ہے اے موت ذرا رک ابھی جان رہنے دے تن میں ارماں میرے سہرے کے سجائے ہوئے من میں وہ دیکھ در خیمہ پہ وہ دیکھ در خیمہ پہ بیٹھی ہوئی ماں ہے اے درد ذرا تھم جا قیامت کا سما ہے وہ دیکھ کبھی گرتے کبھی اٹھتے ہیں بابا بابا کو اب آنکھوں سے دکھائی نہیں دیتا رو رو کے صدا دیتے ہیں رو رو کے صدا دیتے ہیں ہر اکبر تو کہاں ہے اے درد ذرا تھم جا قیامت کا سما ہے اے کاش ہو مہلت تو بہن کو میں لے آؤں ایک بار میں روتی ہوئی صغرا کو مناؤں بیمار مدینے میں بیمار میری محو فغاں ہے، اے درد ذرا تھم جا، قیامت کا سما ہے، دیکھا نہیں جائے گا یہ غربت کا نظارہ، اے حر کے پسر دو میرے بابا کو سہارا، بابا کی کمر خم ہے، بابا کی کمر خم ہے، میری لاش جواں ہے، اے درد ذرا تھم جا، قیامت کا سما ہے، مولا نے حسن سینے سے برچھی کو جو کھینچا، باہر نکل آیا علی اکبر کا کلیجہ، اب تک اسی منظر پہ، اب تک اسی منظر پہ جہاں گریا گناہ ہے، اے درد ذرا تھم جا، قیامت کا سما ہے، قیامت کا سما ہے۔ درود پر محمد اور آل محمد پر، اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد۔ الفاتحہ۔
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد، عظم الله لكم الأجر يا شيعة بقرب محرم، وما هي إلا أيام، وننادي يا حسين يا أبا عبد الله، عظم الله لك الأجر يا رسول الله، ويا أمير المؤمنين، ويا فاطمة يا سيدتي نساء العالمين، إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون، ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون، ولا يؤدي حقه المجتحدون، الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم، وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، صاحب العصر والزمان، خليفة الرحمن، إمام الإنس والجان، ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس، صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. A discussion on social justice has been our ongoing topic. Tonight is lecture number 9. As we now are one day away from the day of Ashura, And we are reaching that destination of our Ashra, and reminding myself and all of you of that example I gave of the flight in the beginning of the Ashra that I give everywhere I go. That we started off with, backing away from the gate, taxiing the runway, taking off, elevating, hitting our elevation, flying for a few miles, and then of course beginning our descent into our destination. We already have begun our descent into our destination. Tomorrow, inshallah, we reach our destination with, of course, our last lecture, of course, is on Monday. But nonetheless, today and tomorrow, we have some crucial discussions, as they all are, of course, to somehow come to some conclusion of this Ashra. Let me first of all mention, if I haven't already, how grateful I am for all the feedback. And when I say grateful, I don't mean just the feedback that is encouraging, very loving, messages of support, but also those individuals who have sent me some harsh emails, individuals who have sent me some harsh messages, the savage messages, as you guys would call it, the hate mail, for example. It's not hate mail, of course it comes from love, but it's good to know the different perspectives out there that exist. And it's also good for the ego as well. Now, it's hard to have an ego when it comes to me. When you ask your daughter, for example, tell me who the top 5 speakers are, according to you, and you as her father aren't on that list, that's humbling, I don't even crack your top 5, top 5, but yeah, no, when your daughter now has 5 speakers who are better than you, then there's no ego there. Anyways, I'm kidding, but it is important nonetheless that we learn from each other. And like I said a couple of nights ago, it's all about perspective, all about lens, about what each of those 5 individuals on that lookout point see. I see something different, you may see something different. And it's important that I understand as a speaker on this minbar the different perspectives and lenses out there as well. So I welcome and I appreciate more so the not so popular messages as opposed to the ones of support. Of course, the support ones have been incredible. And I have realized that there's been a lot of healing, especially with me, in this Ashra as well. And I just pray that Allah accepts all of our efforts. Yesterday we spoke a little bit about the barriers of justice. And I spent a lot of time yesterday talking a little bit in the beginning now of yesterday's discussion about the idea of us knowing a reality and us living that reality. And there's reasons behind that I talked about yesterday. And one of the reasons why we talked about yesterday, why we're not seeing justice in our families, we're not seeing justice with ourselves, we're not seeing justice with others, is because I have perhaps adopted or installed inside of me a me-centric life. And I mentioned to all of you last night the dangers of that me-centric lifestyle where we replace God, even in our worship, with me. In the process now, and I'm going to keep telling you this word, subconsciously, we now end up worshiping ourselves and not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We become the idol that we worship. And like every other group in history did their best to preserve their idols, we also, if we've become our own idol, we preserve that idol as well. So naturally now, when everything is me, 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 I can't feel the pain of the injustice of those that are anybody else but me. Thus it becomes a barrier for justice. Whether it be my spouse or my children or my in-laws or my parents or my community or some person, let's say, on the news. That empathy we need for social justice, that sense of collectivism that we need for social justice cannot be there and will not be there unless we break the idol of me inside of me. That was all last night. In tonight's discussion, we'll look at barrier number 2. And barrier number two is the idea of eliteness or elitism. Now let me explain what I mean. And I really need to be better at explaining what I need for all of you to understand, okay? So one point I want to make now, as opposed to, let's say, for example, on Monday, being my last lecture in this Ashra, that if any of my presentations have resulted in any of you having a distaste in your mouth for the deen, or perhaps taking a step back from the deen, or maybe confirming those negative thoughts that you had about the deen because of my words, then know that that's a deficiency in as-Jafri, not in the deen. Okay? I'm not expecting anyone here to agree with everything that I have to say. By all means, I'm not the gospel, nor what I'm saying is hujjat, of course not. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the listeners are a little bit, they are bound by the viewpoints of the speaker. As much as I try not to give my own viewpoint, that's why it seems like all I do up here is apologize. At the same time, it's going to trickle in, right? My viewpoint, a little bit of my analysis, even if that means I've learned something from an actual scholar, and in trying to now explain that to the awam in the community, that requires a little bit of me. Now, in that process of me, I might have messed up. The deen is perfect. The deen is kamil. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum. On the day of Ghadir, Allah announced the deen is perfect. If there's imperfections in our understanding or in our delivery, it comes from us, or in this case, me, not from the deen. And I'd much rather now hear about my deficiencies than have the deen, for example, labeled as something that simply is not. Now, what do I mean by elitism? Let me explain. First, let me explain the premise of my discussion today. I have to restore my voice. When we begin to believe, if I begin to believe that I am elite over anybody else, be it because of my gender, or be it because of my color, or be it because of my height, or be it because of whatever else, then I believe that the individual that I am elite over is inferior to me. And thus, when injustice happens from me to him, it doesn't affect me the way that it should. I don't see myself as the zalim and the oppressor, because I'm simply carrying out the law of the jungle, right? Survival of the fittest, survival of the elite. If I believe that I'm elite over person B, I look down on person B, then you know what? I'll have no problems. And in fact, maybe again, subconsciously, my behavior suggests that I know that I am higher, better, bigger, more spiritual than him. And thus me exercising my power over somebody weaker and more inferior and a subordinate is natural for me. In the process, what do? I wake up the Fir'aun inside of me. Only I don't think it's a Fir'aun inside of me. I think it's a law of the jungle. It is the way it is. So one of the barriers of justice that we have inside of us and in society is this meritless elitism. Unearned elitism. Where I believe that I'm elite over somebody else for no merit that I earned whatsoever. Okay? So if you want to call that white privilege, you want to call that male privilege, you want to call that Shia privilege, you want to call that, I don't know, 6'4" privilege, green eyes privilege, born to a rich dad privilege, whatever you want to call it. It is a sense of elitism. The elitist inside of me is triggered by nothing I've done, but things that have been given to me by mistake. Now, let's establish a few things together. And I have some very powerful traditions for all of you today that shook me at my core and have to be first explained properly, then understood. We should aspire to be elite. There is elitism in the deen. There's levels in the deen. For example, you take the prophets of Allah. 124,000 prophets, not all of them are at the same level. Of the 124,000 prophets, there are 5 ulul azam prophets that we learn in school. Those 5 can be considered to be elite over the remaining 123,995. That was pretty good. Prophets. Even in those 5 ulul azam prophets, none of the other 4 can compare to the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So even in the 5, who is elite of those 5 is the Prophet of Allah. Okay? Okay. The Prophet of Allah had many, many ashab. But the one sahabi that was elite over everybody else was Amir al-Mu'mineen, if we want to include him amongst the companions. And of course he was. An individual in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is pious, God-centric, God-conscious, God-fearing, follows the Sharia. As opposed to the person beside him or her that doesn't do any of that. There is this eliteness there. Absolutely, there has to be. God's justice tells me this person A, who's fighting now to elevate towards Allah, deserves to be elite over this person. Now the problem is that maybe I'm wrong. I find the word elite sometimes has a very negative connotation to it. And it smells of this idea of somebody being stubborn, ego, right? Somebody having a superior complex. Somebody who thinks they are everything. And they're walking around 2 feet up off the ground. Not the case. Not the case provided the sense of eliteness they have inside of them is from the right source and for the right reasons. And I'll explain all of that in tonight's discussion. I'm not talking about that eliteness. I'm not talking about the ulul azam prophets' eliteness. I'm not talking about Imam Ali's eliteness. I'm not talking about the fact that when we compare all of the ashab of all of the imams and the prophets, Imam Hussain flat out says that nobody had the ashab, not even my nana, that I had. Those ashab are elite. We should aspire to be elite in everything that we do. There should be perfection in everything that we do. So if you're going to, for example, cut the grass, you better cut that grass like an elitist. Every blade, get the trimmer out, make sure everything is good, everything's perfect. So if somebody looks at that grass, says, whoa, that's a good cutter. If you want to pray salat, you pray salat like the elite. The salat is known as the mi'raj of the mu'min. Mi'raj is ascension. Ascension over what? Elevating towards Allah. In that realm of the awliya of Allah, the elitist ones, the elite ones, nothing wrong with it. Let's change the way that we think about the word elite, not to be somebody whose nose is in the air, stuck up, stubborn, egotistical, narcissistic. No, not always. Provided, and you will hear this from me 10 times tonight, provided that the person feels elite for the right reasons and from the right source. If that individual has prayed his salat or prayed her salat to the point where that mi'raj happens, you better be rest assured that that musalli, that individual who's praying, their heart is so soft, there isn't even an opportunity or a chance that ego now enters a heart like that, whose prayer is now right now in the heavens. They're praying on the farsh. but their salat is right now on the arsh of Allah. If that's the type of eliteness that that one person now has achieved, that heart would not accept the ego, would not accept narcissism, won't accept this idea that I am superior to you. In fact, the higher you go towards Allah, the more you feel like I am humble. So there's eliteness in the deen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Surah Hujurat now, very, very famous verse, talks about this beautifully. He says that I have created you min dhakarin wa untha, from a man and a woman. Surah Hujurat, verse number 13. I've created you from a man and a woman, and I have placed you in what? Shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu. In nations and tribes so you can know each other. And this is the portion that fits in tonight's lecture. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. That factor that makes anybody elite over anybody else is taqwa, and taqwa alone. Taqwa doesn't have a color, taqwa doesn't have a gender, taqwa doesn't have a height, taqwa doesn't have money to it. No, taqwa is a lifestyle. Taqwa is a conscious lifestyle. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu istajibu lillahi wa lirasuli idha da'akum lima yuhyikum. O you who believe, answer the call of Allah and the Rasul when they invite you towards that which will bring you life. Now, I just want to pause here for a moment. It's very ajib to me, this verse that Allah says, say labbaik, answer the call when I invite you, and my Prophet by extension towards that which will bring you life. You think to yourself, why would Allah go out of His way to say, look, if I say live on this path, live on this path. It's obvious, God is life. He is hayy, so He gives hayat. He's alive, so He gives life. The dead can't give life. But yet He's saying, answer the call when I invite you. Idha da'akum, when I invite you towards that which will bring you life, continuously bring you life. Okay? Yuhyikum, fi'l mudari, in the future tense. It's going to continue to bring you life. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feel the need now to make this one of the verses of His, at least half the verse of the Quran? And He knows that right now, especially in 2020, there are so many merchants, store owners, corporations, businesses, individuals, all of them have their version of life. And they're all saying, look, here you go. Buy my version of life, buy my version of life, buy my version of life, right? Imagine entering a flea market, a bazaar, it's a kilometer long. There's stalls on your right, stalls on your left, and they're all selling life. They're all selling life. If you accept, for example, this product, this is how life can be. Nothing but a party. If you accept this is what life can be, nothing but money. If you accept life, that life can be like this, like that, like this. One of the stalls in that bazaar is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say, I'm also selling life. And that's when He says, enter the bazaar. It's my example, not his of course. Enter the bazaar, and when you see my stall, buy life from my stall. Because the one that I'm inviting you towards is a conscious life of piety, God consciousness, God centric. It's not me like yesterday. And part of that is that you can achieve elitism minus the egoism. So I can feel like I'm elevating towards God without looking down on people. And therein lies that secret that a lot of you asked me about. That how is it possible, Sayyid Asad, you mentioned a few nights ago, to have self-worth, to sit there and say, you know what, I'm proud, I should feel good about myself. But just yesterday, you said, don't do me. You're confusing me and I don't like it. They're two separate conversations. Elevation of Allah. The reason why you keep going back to the Masalla, because you're proud that you feel You're proud that you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have this pride of the fact that I'm one of His abd, I'm His servant. I'm choosing now to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He elevates me. And that elevation is based on the fact that I have chosen now Him, and I feel good about that. But because that elitism is connected to Him and not to me, I don't gain anything out of it in terms of my ego. So it's possible to be a servant of God and be proud you're a servant of God, but be a humble creation amongst the men. It's possible for you, for me, to enter the realm of God's kingdom and God's worship and be proud of the fact, at the same time not look down on anybody else or not worship myself. Because after a while, all you see is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All you see is Allah. مَا رَأَيْتُ شَيْئًا إِلَّا رَأَيْتُ اللَّهُ مَعَهُ قَبْلُهُ وَفِيهِ. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, I did not see a single existence. I did not see a single existence except that I saw Allah with it, before it, and after it. You tell me, where is there a me in there? There isn't. That only happens when you begin to elevate towards Allah. And because you've made that decision, إِذَا دَعَاكُمْ لِمَا يُحْيِيكُمْ, buy from my stall, buy my life. Not that Allah is begging us. I mean, please, let's not overthink about the example, right? Just for my youth out there to kind of make it a little bit more digestible. That life is a conscious decision of taqwa and piety. That conscious decision to live a life of piety is the only reason why you should feel elite in this world. Now, if that taqwa continues to rise, the heart continues to soften. When the heart softens, there's no sawal or no question about injustice on anybody else. It's not possible that a heart that's in tune with Allah, a heart that sees what? Allah before it, in it, and after it, can do dhulm to a single ant. And that's why Imam Ali says, I would not take food out of the mouth of an ant. How can that heart that is so elevated towards Allah, and the same heart now look to be unjust towards anybody else? It's not possible. Allah says in the Quran, I didn't give you two hearts, I gave you one heart. So the only factor that is there for elitism is taqwa alone. Now, the reality is that does that mean that if I become pious, I can look down on people? No, I'll say it again. The piety that you're choosing will not allow you to look down on anybody else. And that's the beauty of it. So you're elite without being egotistical. And that eliteness towards Allah is your pride. Imam Ali is struck with Ibn Muljam's sword. The first thing that he does, doesn't call for help, doesn't say, I've been hit, I've been struck, announces his success. He says, I've been successful. That's a man who's proud of himself. That's a man who has self-worth. But the only reason why he announces his success at that moment was because I was killed and shaheed in this world at the highest level of Allah's worship. You can be a proud servant of God and not worship the me inside of you. It's very possible. It's hard, but that's why you have this entire dunya to do it. So that's the eliteness that we want to achieve. We should be elite in our schools. We should be elite in our families. We should be elite in everything, absolutely. But the one binding factor in all of this eliteness I talk about is the fact that all of it was earned, merit-based. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lives on a merit-based system. If you've earned it, you'll get it. Open verse of the Quran, He does not waste the good deeds of anybody, a believer, anybody. He didn't waste the good deeds of shaitan. That respite that shaitan wanted, and the fact that he was granted that respite, some tafsirs say that Allah gave him that respite because of the fact that thousands of years he worshipped Allah. Where is the reward of all that? Allah says, I'm bound by my justice. I have to now not throw those years of worship away. So my reward for you for those thousands of years of worship is your respite. Okay. I think that makes sense to all of you. Now, mashallah, I'm dealing with a very smart crowd. So what exactly are you talking about tonight then, Sayyid Asad? I'm talking about that sense of eliteness that we have that's not based on merit. If I was born, if you were born, if anybody was born with a little bit of a lighter shade of skin color, it doesn't mean that I have any right to look down on those who are one shade darker than mine. Okay? If I was born in a Sayyid family, if I was born in a Shia family, and hear me out now, if I was born in a Sayyid Shia family, it doesn't make me a Sayyid Shia. Let me share with you one hadith by Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. And this point that I just made, that maybe some people are getting their blood boiling right now, hold on, hold tight. Just give me till the end of the episode. Just hold on, inshallah we will get through it together. Don't throw things at the screen just yet. Sometimes, you know, the Ahlul Bayt, they teach us how to be and how not to be by their actions. Okay? By their actions. You can see that, okay, he did this, we have to do this. He didn't do this, we don't do that. He went here, we'll go there. He didn't go there, we won't go there. Okay? Sometimes they teach us through their words, their words. This hadith is in Nahj al-Balagha. The source that I have is saying 150. When now Amir al-Mu'mineen describes to us how not to be. How not to be. Keep in mind, Allah's system is a merit-based system. It doesn't matter what you've heard on this minbar, from whoever you've heard it from, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't give anybody anything unless they've earned it. Okay? Imam Ali says, لا تكون ممن يرجو الآخرة بغير العمل. Allahu Akbar. Beautiful hadith. Line by line by line. Stay with me, please. And you know, I ask you, you've been amazing for the past 9 nights. I ask you, please, a little bit more patience. 2 more nights, or still than 1 more night, and then you are free from this mug every single night. I promise. وَلَا تَكُونْ مِمَّنْ يَرْجُو الْآخِرَةَ بِغَيْرِ عَمَلٍ. Don't be like those. And every line that he starts, don't be like those, don't be like those, don't be like those. In the first one he says, don't be like those, يَرْجُو الْآخِرَةَ بِغَيْرِ الْعَمَلِ. You have all these high hopes for the akhirat, right? All this high hope for heaven. I have these big, big plans for heaven, right? Oh my God, I can't wait. Manzil Sayyid Asad Jafri, bah, bah, bah. Ooh, I can't wait to furnish my house in Jannat. Right? I can't wait. I'm gonna have a pool in there. I'm gonna have a movie theater in there and just watch my lectures all day. Don't have those hopes, he says. بغير العمل, without doing anything for those hopes. Without amal, those hopes are useless. Don't be like those who have high hopes for heaven without the amal. ولا تكون ممن يحب الصالحين ولا يعمل عملهم. You love the good doers, you praise the good doers. Oh my God, look what he does, look what she does. That's amazing. You know how much work they do, how much work he does? Amazing. ولا يعمل عملهم. But you don't act like them. You love them, but you don't emulate them. Don't be like those. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you access to somebody who is in your life now doing amazing work for God, for the people, for the family, maybe, just maybe that's a little bit of a sign of hidayat. It's a call towards good, right? Sometimes Allah directly comes, sometimes He comes very indirectly. And sometimes while that ship passes, and later on we're like, oh my God, that ship was there for me, and just it's gone now. Don't be like those Imam Ali says, يُحِبُّ الصَّالِحِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُ عَمَلُهُ. Don't be like those who love the good doers, praise the good doers, post about the good doers. But when it comes time for you to try to act like them, no, that's for them, that's not me, Baba. Why can't it be you? وَلَا تَكُن مِمَّنْ, he goes on, وَلَا تَكُن مِمَّنْ يُبْغِضُ الْمُذْنِبِينَ وَهُوَ أَحَدَهُمْ. Allahu Akbar. Don't be like those who despise the sinners, despise the sinners. Look at this guy. Look what he does. You know how he treats his wife? You know how he runs his business? You know how much he gossips and backbites? You know how much he rips this person off, rips that person off, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, وَهُوَ أَحَدُهُمْ. You are one of them. You are one of them. I am one of them. It's like me sitting there saying, oh my God, you know what, these speakers nowadays, they go up there, you know, they move their arms this way, they move their arms that way, they touch their hat 15 times. Look at these guys. It's so distracting. Why don't you learn how to speak before you get on the minbar? And so I'm like, hello, I said, bye. Yeah, that's you up there. I went, oh, oh, okay. Don't be like those. يُبْغِضُ الْمُذْنِبِينَ وَهُوَ أَحَدَهُمْ. You despise the sinners. Call them out. And yet you're one of them. وَلَا تَكُونْ مِمَّنْ. He goes on. يُخَافُ عَلَيْهَا وَأَدْنَى مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ. Don't be like the one who's scared for everybody else, but when it comes to his sins, he's okay. I'll be forgiven, but oh man, I wouldn't want to be that guy on the Day of Judgment, or I wouldn't want to be that family, or this girl, or this individual, or that alim. Not at all. No, not at all. I am scared for you, but I'll pray for you, bro. Good luck to you on the Day of Judgment. Meanwhile, when it comes to him, وَأَدْنَى مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ. He takes his sins and he lowers them to be nothing. In the process, when you lower your sins, you think that, oh, I'm a good person, right? That manzil Sayyid Asad Jafri is there. But everybody else, oh, yukhafu. I'm scared for you, I'm scared for you, I'm scared for you. وَلَا تَكُونْ مِمَّنْ. He goes on. وَلَا تَكُونْ مِمَّنْ يَرْجُو لِنَفْسِهِ بِأَكْثَرِ مِنْ عَمَلِهِ. Don't be like the one who has high hopes, but his amal, his deeds, don't match that hope. Obviously being hopeful, and right away I know, obviously being hopeful is great. Being hopeless is a sin. But there's a fine line, sometimes not so fine, between hopelessness and delusion, right? I always give the example to my students out there who are starting school in a few weeks, maybe next week, I have no idea. The entire semester in stats class, you bomb. The assignments you don't pass, you don't hand in. You show up, let's say, every second class. When you are there in class, you're in the back corner with your earpods on, you're sleeping, the midterm you bombed. Comes time for the final, you barely squeak by and you're failing by 7 percentage points. 7 percentage points. And you know it. And you're sitting there saying, oh man, I hope I get a B. Whoa. That's not hope, man, that's delusion. Hope is when you've done everything in your power and you really hope that everything turns out. Delusion is that you have no basis for the hope. Imam Ali says, don't be like the one who has all these hopes. يَرْجُو لِنَفْسِهِ. He has hopes for himself, but his amal doesn't match those hopes. What world do you live in? Are you looking at the same amal that I am? In what world do you think that you have a chance in the hereafter? I don't understand. This entire tradition, beautiful, line by line by line by line, all screams to me about the idea that Allah now is going to give you and me any status we want, but we have to earn it. We have to earn it. Has to be merit-based. If you want the hopes of the akhirat, then work for it. If you love the salihin, become one of them. If you hate the sinners, don't become one of them. If you fear for others, fear for yourself. If you hope for the hereafter, then make your amal match that hope. It's all merit-based. It's all merit-based. The fact that we think we're somebody without doing anything is absurd. I'm not a Sayyid because of my last name. Or if I had an imam, I wear a black imamah. I'm sorry. I'm a Sayyid only when I resemble the Prophet's lineage. When someone looks at me and is reminded of the Prophet of Allah, then I can sit there and call myself Sayyid. My passport doesn't mean anything. The forms, S-Y-E-D, S-A-Y-Y-D, S-A-Y-E-D, you can 1,000 different ways, right? Me being a Sayyid is not based on the fact that I have a last name of Jafri. Not at all. It's all based on my actions. It's not like I'm going to enter my first time in the grave and say, okay, what's your name? Said Asad Jafri. Oh, Jafri, oh. oh, आइए हुजूर, you're Jafri, Sayyid, mashallah, आइए हुजूर, यहाँ आइए, बैठिए. Hey, he's a Jafri. It's okay, leave it, I got it, it's okay. बैठिए, चाय वाय, कुछ समोसा, कुछ biscuit. It's not like that. Sorry. It's not like that. I'm not gonna sit there and say, yeah, I said Jafri, I should be on the list. Yeah. So I'll just make my way to heaven now. Whoa, hold on there, homie. Whoa, 1 second. Yeah, but my name is Sayyid Jafri. It could be Robert Smith. Good for you. What did you do in this world? Tell me what you did in this world. Surah Jummah has a beautiful verse on death that all of you know. Innal mawta alladhi tafiruna minhu fa innahu mulaqikum. My AV guys, keep up. I love you guys. ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. That death that you farar from, that death that you flee from, that death that you run from is going to meet you. There's going to be a mulaqat. I love this imagery of death the Quran presents in this verse. A mulaqat. There's going to be a meeting. You can't avoid the meeting. You can't avoid them. There's going to be a meeting. And that meeting will take you back to the alim and the shahid, the knower and the witness. And he's going to tell you, فَيُنَبِّئَكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ, what you did in this world, not the name on your passport in this world. I'm sorry. Everything's going to be based on Ain, Mim, Lam, Amal. Everything's going to be based on Amal. I'm born in a Shia family. And please follow me, don't hate me. Does not make me a Shia. Wearing this aqiq doesn't make me a Shia. Sorry. What makes me a Shia is following the path of the Ahlul Bayt. What makes me a Shia is somebody who does his level best to resemble and emulates my Mawla Amirul Mu'mineen. Now, you'll tell me, how is that possible? He's Amirul Mu'mineen. Letter number 45, I have referenced this letter many times before. Letter number 45, in Nahj al-Balagh, Uthman ibn Hunayf. Okay? Quick story, you've heard this already. He goes to a very lavish party. Imam Ali writes a letter saying you shouldn't be at that party. It's a lengthy letter. In that letter, he's actually asking his governor, emulate me, imitate me, but not at everything. There are some things that you can't imitate me on. He says, Imam Ali writes in Nahj al-Balagh, in this letter, I, meaning me, Ali, I have trained myself to survive on 2 coarse garments of clothes and 2 hard pieces of bread in this world. You can't do that. But what you can emulate me on is my righteousness, my honesty, and my piety. Do your best. Then we can call ourselves a Shia. A Shia. Because I'm sorry, there is this level of, Shia privilege. We've been spoon-fed, at least some of us. We think that, okay, no matter what you do in this world, right, it's all good. You come a few days a year, you do the right things, let's say, and boarding pass to heaven. Meanwhile, there's other individuals who may not be born in that family, who may not have that tawfiq, and they're working day in and day out to save humanity, work for humanity, feed the orphans, dig the wells, open schools. If you ask them, if you ask the Shia about them, they say all of that is going to be washed down the river, but my sins will be forgiven. That's elitism without any sort of merit. Let me give you a very simple example from Shaheed Mutahari rahmatullah alayh. Shaheed Mutahari now, and he was very bold in this conversation. And as you know, in his book Adl Ilahi, Divine Justice, he talks about the idea of this discussion, which I'm not going to entertain tonight, about the good deeds of non-Muslims and the sins of Muslims. And he explains it to me, at least if you ask me, beautifully. He has an example he uses. Okay? Extra thirsty tonight, sorry. I don't usually eat before a majlis. I like to eat before. I like to eat a little bit afterwards. Today, of course, I ate Muharram, there's hazri at my mom's. I had to go and have a little bit of hazri, right? And my mom is such a good cook, and she strategically places things right in front of me, and she places nice hot garam roti right in front of me. When I have the last navala, and bam, the next roti comes. Khao beta. I'm like, oh man, it's still puffy. It's still coming down from the poof. How do you say no to that? So I ate today before the majlis. I think that's why I'm a little bit thirsty. Anyways, bear with me. You don't care about my rotis, but it's okay. You stuck with me. The example. Focus, I said. The example. He says, I want you to imagine two patients. And wallahi, you get nothing out of this. Get this example and get my hadith afterwards, and I'm happy. Two patients who are sick. They're both sick. One patient goes to the best doctor in town. The other patient goes to an everyday doctor. One patient goes to the best doctor in town. The other patient goes to an everyday doctor. Let's say a walk-in clinic. Let's put it that way. A specialist and a walk-in clinic. They both had their respective appointments. They're both given their prescriptions. They both walk out. A week later, 2 weeks later, they're both still sick. Why? Because neither one filled the prescription. Now the one who went to the elite doctor says, wait a second, what is this? Why am I still sick? I went to a specialist. He should still be sick. He went to a walking clinic. That makes sense. But I went to a specialist, man. I got an appointment with a specialist. I should be better. Why am I still sick? Why are we still at the exact same level? I don't understand. Why is he still sick and I'm still sick? And it turns out that when you look in their pocket, the prescription is still in there. And Shaheed Mutahari says that specialist elite doctor that you went to only becomes an avenue of eliteness for you when you fill the prescription that he gave. Because the prescription that he gave is nothing like the prescription that this doctor gave. You two might have the same symptoms, but you have two different prescriptions. The problem is neither one filled it, so you're both gonna be sick. If you actually filled the prescription, then you'd be way healthier than he would. We go to the door of the Ahlul Bayt. There are elite spiritual doctors, and they hand prescription after prescription after prescription. Be good to your mother, be good to your father, be good to your husband, be good to your wife, be good to your kids. Right? Pray on time, fast, be humble, be patient, don't backbite, give your khums, follow your mantra. Prescription upon prescription upon prescription, and not everybody fills it. There's a bunch of prescriptions in our pocket, and we think, wait a second now, on the day of judgment, wait a second, why am I at the same level this guy's at? I had the Ahlul Bayt. You did, and they gave you the best prescription possible, but homie, you never filled out the prescription. You never filled out the prescription. What made you elite is not the taking of the prescription, it's the filling out of the prescription and following it to a T. If it says before breakfast, have it before breakfast. Don't have your anda sliced and then have your medication afterwards. No, it said before, it said on an empty stomach. What a beautiful example. All goes back to merit, merit, merit. Yeah, my salams to you. Now you'll ask me about shafa'at. Shafa'at is only there, it has to be earned. The biggest knock that the enemies of Shias have against us is that this entire system of shafa'at has made them spiritually lazy, complacent, do what you want all year round, come to a few programs, do what you have to do, all of a sudden now, hey man, I'll intercede for you. I'm sorry, we're in for a shock, doesn't work like that. Shafa'at is earned. Shafa'at is earned. Those extra 7 points for that student has to be earned by him. Meaning he has to show up the entire semester, hand him the assignments, work really hard. Then the Prophet says, oh, but Shahada, look at him. He works so hard. He earns it. And because I am Kareem, I'll give you the marks. But if you slept the entire semester, you've bombed all the exams, you never show up to class, never took it seriously because you know this prof will pass past me, this prof will pass me until he doesn't. Then you complain. And you have no basis for your complaint. This is the eliteness that exists today. This is why a white man can sit there and put his knee on a black man's neck. This is why after all of that happened in Minnesota with George Floyd, Jacob Blake can happen. 7 holes in the back of this man for no apparent reason. Handcuffed right now to his hospital bed. What did he do? I don't understand. When you believe that your white privilege is higher than this individual who's colored, who's one shade, a few shades darker than you. You were born into a white family. It doesn't give you any sort of eliteness over anybody else. Do something, show something, accomplish something, then maybe you're elite. But I tell you that disease exists in our communities and exists in our deen, and I'm sorry. Because we have this idea of eliteness by association. We think that, because I am associated and marboot with this person, I'm also. If that person has gained or has earned some sort of maqam and level, so have I. Why? Just because, I know him, that's it. Sometimes, the sons of ulama who have never read a single book, sometimes they think that they are, they're the alim. No, Baba, your dad's an alim, you're not. When Junior, who is the son of the CEO of the company, comes in, let's say on a PA day, walks around the office, has a 3-piece suit on, walks around and starts to what? He's the son of the CEO, walks on and starts to kind of, checking on people's work. Yeah, let me see your reports. Let me see. Oh, who are you? I'm the son of the CEO. So? You're the son. Are you the CEO? No, you're the son. So what? You don't get that robe and that maqam and that eliteness based on association. You don't. And just to bring this point home, and then Masaib, I want to share with you one powerful tradition from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This hadith is incredible, needs to be explained and then understood, and then Masaib, inshallah. You've been very patient with me. This is after the conquering of Mecca. If you get nothing from tonight, get this hadith by the Holy Prophet. Those who want sources, no problem. I have everything for you. As you know, in the Holy Prophet and the Muslims conquer Mecca. Okay? There is this vibe in Mecca. Celebration. They conquered the enemy, Abu Sufyan. Incredible. And the Prophet realizes that there might be, a little bit of, very wise. There might be some misconceptions here after this victory of Islam. So what does he do? He gathers his family. He says, the Bani Hashim and the sons of Abdul Muttalib, come here. And he addresses them directly. And look at what he says to them after the conquest of Mecca. He says, Inni Rasulullahi ilaykum. I am for you the Prophet of God. Wa inni la shafiqun alaykum. I am for you, I have for you well wishes. I'm a well wisher of yours. I wish you the best. Absolutely. I have for you well wishes. Then he says, لا تقول أن محمدا منا صلى الله عليه وسلم. Do not say, carefully, line by line, please. Do not say that Muhammad is from us. What do you mean? Hold on. He says, فوالله ما أوليائي منكم وَلَا مِنْ غَيْرِكُمْ إِلَّا الْمُتَّقُونَ. By Allah, I swear by Allah that my awliya, my friends, those who have any sort of status, either amongst you, minkum, وَلَا مِنْ غَيْرِكُمْ, or from outside of you, none of them have any status إِلَّا الْمُتَّقُونَ, except for the pious ones. And then he says, don't come to me. I'm going to read it verbatim from my phone. I never do this, but I want to make sure that you get the right hadith possible. Okay? He says, فَلَا تَأْتُونِي يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ تَحْمِلُونَ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى رِقَابِكُمْ. Allahu Akbar. Don't come to me, he says. The Prophet says to who? These are his family, the Bani Hashim, the sons of Abdul Muttalib. Don't come to me on the day of judgment with the heaviness of this dunya on your shoulders, while others, he says, وَيَأْتِ النَّاسُ يَحْمِلُونَ الْآخِرَةِ. While others who are not family come to me with nothing but the akhirat on their shoulders. Meaning what? They were successful. You're coming to me on the day of judgment with what? With the heaviness of the sins of this dunya, hoping that I'm going to come and relieve you of that. Why? Because we're cousins. We're cousins, right? Chacha am I? Chacha. Whoa. He says, don't. He's precisely saying this idea that don't expect this idea that on the day of judgment, when you enter the day of judgment, yes, I actually belong to the family of the Holy Prophet. So tell me where to go. Do you have a special line for the family's prophet? For the prophet's family? He's like, no, we don't. Yeah, but Prophet Muhammad, it's me. Expecting the prophet to say, oh look, what do you have there? Oh, I have, this weight of sins. I lived a horrible life, but I'm your first cousin, I'm your third cousin, right? Our moms are like second cousins, but it's okay, right? You'll help me out, right? Come on. He says, La taqulu anna Muhammadan minna. Don't say in the day of judgment that Muhammad is from us. And don't come to me bearing the weight of the dunya, all your sins at me, while others who weren't my family are flying on the day of judgment with no weight at all, carrying simply the akhirat. And then he goes on to say that there is no more excuses between you and between me, and between Allah and between you. Meaning what? I've given you everything. I've given you everything. And then he says, oh my God, just a beautiful line. Inna li amali wa lakum amalakum. For me is my amal, for you are your amal. There's no free ticket here, right? There's no party bazi, as you say in Urdu. That, no, you have your amal, I have my amal. Sorry. Now, a lot of you might think to yourself, what about shafaat? Wait a second now. This has nothing to do with shafaat whatsoever. The tone in the beginning of the tradition where he says, look, I'm your prophet, yes you are. I'm your well-wisher, yes you are. Don't come to you in the day of judgment and say, look, I'm your cousin. Doesn't matter to me. Everyone will be judged accordingly. Everybody will be judged individually. I have my amal on that day, you have your amal on that day. Meaning what? This elitism by association doesn't exist on the day of judgment. Don't say, oh, I'm with this person, it's okay. I'm a Shia of Ali. I cried for him. That's great. What did you do with those tears? What did you do with that wilayat? What did you do with that imamat? Did you fix yourself? Did you better yourself? Or did you actually buy into sometimes what's being fed on this minbar that look, just come shed a few tears, boarding past the Jannah, one-way flight, window seat. Go ahead. If we buy that narrative, we're in for a shock. That's the person that the Prophet is describing. You're coming to me with this sin, right? We've lived our entire life thinking, you know what, I just need to do a couple of days right. The rest of the year I can drink, I can domestically abuse my wife, I can deny my kids whatever I want, I can sit there and do this and do that. It's okay. A few days of the year I do what I need to do and I'm good. So we walk in the day of judgment now with these massive bags of sin on our shoulders, looking for who? Where is Hussain ibn Ali? Hussain ibn Ali? Yeah, Imam Hussain, over here. He's like, Inna li amali wa lakum amalakum. Shafa'at are for those who deserve it. Shafa'at are for those who earned it. Shafa'at are for those who didn't take their salat lightly. Shafa'at are for those who believed in the true essence of shafa'at. If you believe in the shafi, you believe in the path of the shafi'. If Imam Hussein is a person who's going to come and intercede on my behalf, then I want to do everything I can to walk the walk that Hussein walked. Absolutely. But not association. Not, oh, Api Jafri, aiye, yaar. Oh, Jafri, oh, mashallah, let's go. No, not happening. You have your amal, I have my amal. My brothers and my sisters, Masaib now. My brothers and my sisters, in conclusion, the barrier of justice is this meritless elitism that we have. Be it the fact that it is color privilege, or gender privilege, or Shia privileged. Any eliteness in the deen is earned. And the beauty of it, the most beautiful thing of all this is that when you earn that elite status with Allah, the heart now has softened to the point it can't even say the name injustice, let alone do the injustice. But if I believe I'm better than you based on nothing I've done whatsoever, I accidentally was born with one shade lighter, I accidentally was born into a male, I accidentally was born into a Sayyid Shia family, I have to convert the name on the passport to the amal in the hearts. That's me. I can look the part all I want, I can wear the ring all I want. But what's going to count is the currency of amal. Not the rings and the chains and anything else, the currency of amal in that world. Don't say to me, La taqulu anna Muhammadan minna. What a powerful tradition. What a beautiful message. Such a fair, just message the Prophet is sending to us. You don't think that, do we think for a moment that Ali Akbar thought to himself, that why am I here on the day of Ashura? Why am I fighting this thirst? I'm the son of Hussain. I'm the grandson of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Just based on that association alone, I should be in a very high status. Just on that association alone. And yet no, he says, no, I want to show God my sense of sacrifice. I want to show God I'm not just the son of Hussain, I'm the follower of Hussain. Ali Akbar, the Jawan of Hussain. This is the Shahada that almost killed Imam Hussain, I tell you. The way the Maqtal describes how Imam Hussain reacted to Ali Akbar's war and his wound, I haven't seen anywhere else. Maybe in tomorrow night's Masayib you might hear a little bit of it, but this was Ali Akbar. Sometimes if this hall was full and after me the noha would happen and some young child would get on that stage and read that noha or that salam, right? Always close by to him. Maybe on the same stage would be his father. And he would sit there giving jawab and doing matam, right? And have this sense of pride. Have this sense of pride. That's my son reading. That's my son reading. That's my son reading, right? Everyone afterwards will come and say, wow, kya baat hai, bhai? Your child read so beautifully. You should be very proud, and you're glowing as a father. You're glowing as a father. Subh Ashura, Imam Hussain says, Ali Akbar, give the adhan. There wasn't pride in Hussein's. This is my Ali Akbar. This is the Ali Akbar that whenever I missed my grandfather Rasulullah, I would look to him and do his ziyarat. After the ashab had given their life, Ali Akbar comes to Imam Hussain and says, Baba, give me permission to go to war. Give me ijazat. Ijazat is permission. Give me permission. Imam Hussain says to send a very clear message and a lesson that I give you permission. I want to be the first one to sacrifice my son. I don't want others to say that my son went before your son. Go. But your Pupi Zainab raised you, go and get your ijazat from her. Ali Akbar enters the khayma where the women are. The women are sitting there. All of a sudden now the Maqta says, from that khayma now the sound of crying could be heard. Crying could be heard. Crying could be heard. They never thought in a million years that Ali Akbar is coming inside to get ijazat to go to war. And the khayma would open and the khayma would close. Every time Ali Akbar wanted to leave the khayma, another woman would pull him back. Zainab would say, where are you going, Ali Akbar? My grandfather, Rasulullah, was a resemblance of you. Finally, now Ali Akbar gets ijazat. Now waiting for him by the horse is a 57-year-old father. A 57-year-old father. Keep that age in mind. He begins to what? He says, he embraces Ali Akbar. He says, go my son, go, make me proud. Go sacrifice your life. And he begins now to mount his son on the horse. And then that's when Imam Hussain showed us that bil akhir he's a father. Bil akhir his heart beats for his son. Ali Akbar going to the Maidan of Karbala. But if you can, every so often, just turn your face towards me so I can see your face one last last time, Ali Akbar rides into the Maidan of Karbala, but he feels like someone is behind him. He looks behind him, a 57-year-old father stumbling behind the horse, Imam Ali Akbar stops the horse, gets off the horse, picks up his father, hugs his father. Baba, you gave me permission. Imam Hussain looks at Ali Akbar, tears rolling down his face. If only you had a son like I have in you, you would know how hard this moment is. Ali Akbar enters the Maidan of Karbala. Ana Ali ibn al-Hussein ibn Ali. I am the grandson of Amir al-Mu'mineen. I am the son of Hussein. He begins to fight. The Bani Hashim Khun flowing inside of his veins. He begins to fight, but then one mal'oon comes from behind Ali Akbar with a spear, strikes him in the chest and breaks the helmet, breaks the handle. Ali Akbar falls from the horse. As he falls from the horse, alayka minni salam, ya abata. It's a very khas way to say salam in the Arabic culture. That's the kind of salam you would say where you don't expect a jawab from the person you're sending salam to. Why this way? I don't know why, but my heart tells me that Baba, stay where you are, Baba. No need to come. Don't come to the Maidan of Karbala. If you see me, it will destroy you. But he falls from the horse. Imam Hussein hears the call of his Jawan son. They say that Hussein began to ride into the Maidan of Karbala. He stopped halfway, got off his horse, and begins now to walk. He would stand up and fall. He would stand up, he would fall. I can't see. His eyes now become blurry. Aina anta Ali. Aina anta Ali. The khak of Karbala in the air. Ali Akbar on the ground. Baba Ilayya, I'm over here, Baba. Imam Hussein reaches the body of Ali Akbar. Baba, there's pain in my chest. Blood flowing from the chest of Ali Akbar. Imam Hussein, my Aqa, my Mawla Hussein, lie down the body of Ali Akbar. May no father ever see this moment in his life. Grabs the barichi and the spear of Ali Akbar, begins to take it out, but every time he tried to take it out, the body of Ali Akbar up and down the plains of Karbala. That's when Imam Hussein grabbed the spear, turned towards Najaf. Baba! You ripped the door of Khaybar, but come to Karbala and see me taking a spear out of the chest of my Jawan son, Imam Hussein. Finally, I don't know how he did it, wallah. Put one knee on the chest of his Jawan son, put one foot on the plains of Karbala, grab the spear, one last Ya Ali, and rip the spear out. Martyrdom Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain.
में से मरने रसूल जैसा पिसर तो पीछे पीछे ये कहते हुए चले सरवर मुर मुर के मुझे देख के जान अली अकबर मुर मुर के मुझे देख के जान अली अकबर कुछ देर तो जी ले तेरा कुछ देर तो जी ले तेरा बाबा अली अकबर मुर के मुझे देखते जान अली अकबर तुम जी से गिरो तो बदल اکبر ہو جائے گا مشکل میرا آنا میرے بیٹا مقتل میں کہیں دور نہ جانا میرے بیٹا اب مجھ سے چلا بھی نہیں جاتا علی اکبر مر کے مجھے دیکھتے جانا علی اکبر احساس تڑپنے کا ہمارے تجھے ہوتا میری طرح تو اپنا جگر تھام کے روتا تیرا بھی جو ہوتا کوئی تیرا بھی جو ہوتا کوئی بیٹا علی اکبر مر کے مجھے دیکھتے جانا علی اکبر نانا میرے پوچھے جو کہاں دیر لگائی کہہ دینا اجازت بڑی مشکل سے ہے پائی لگ جاؤ گلے آ کے لگ جاؤ گلے آ کے دوبارہ علی اکبر مر کے مجھے دیکھتے جانا علی اکبر نانا گئی جب آئی تھی اماں پہ ضعیفی تم جاتے ہو حالت ہے عجب بنت علی کی زینب ہوئی جاتی ہے زینب ہوئی جاتی ہے ضعیفہ علی اکبر مر کے مجھے دیکھتے جانا علی اکبر پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین اپنے لہو میں آپ اپنے لہو میں آپ سنورنے کے دن نہ تھے اکبر جوان ابھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے ہے اکبر جوان ابھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے اپنے لہو میں آپ اپنے لہو میں آپ سنورنے کے دن نہ تھے اکبر جوان ابھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے ہے اکبر جوان ابھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے رکتا نہیں ہے سینے سے جو خون ہے رواں اے لال یہ بتا دو کہ کس جا لگی سنا اپنی ریاضتوں کا خزینہ تو دیکھ لوں، اپنی ریاضتوں کا خزینہ تو دیکھ لوں، اکبر ہٹاؤ ہاتھ میں سینہ تو دیکھ لوں، اپنے لہو میں آپ سنورنے کے دن نہ تھے، اکبر جوان بھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے، ہے اکبر جوان ابھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے، تم کیا گرے ہو مقتل میں اٹھ نہ سکا حسین، تم کو سنا لگی ہے اور زخمی ہوا حسین، آنکھیں جو تم چراتے ہو دل چھوڑتے ہیں ہم، آنکھیں جو تم چراتے ہو دل چھوڑتے ہیں ہم، تم ہچکیاں جو لیتے ہو غم توڑتے ہیں ہم، اپنے لہو میں آپ سنورنے کے دن نہ تھے، اکبر جوان بھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے، ہے اکبر جوان ابھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے، قاصد کھڑا ہے پہلو میں اے لال دیکھ لو، صغرا دعائیں دیتی ہے آمین تو کہو، رکھتا ہوں خط کو لاش پر دلبر جواب دو، رکھتا ہوں خط کو لاش پر دلبر جواب دو، صغرا سلام کہتی ہے اکبر جواب دو، اپنے لہو میں آپ سنورنے کے دن نہ تھے، اکبر جوان بھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے، ہے اکبر جوان ابھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے، اے شیر کبریا مجھے قوت عطا کریں، لاش جواں اٹھانے کی ہمت عطا کریں، آنکھوں کا نور لے گئی نور نظر کی لاش، آنکھوں کا نور لے گئی نور نظر کی لاش، خیبر کے در سے وزنی ہے میرے پہ سر کی لاش، اپنے لہو میں آپ سنورنے کے دن نہ تھے، اکبر جوان بھی تیرے مرنے کے دن نہ تھے، ہے
Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Zainab, come and help me. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Akbar's now a martyr. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Zainab, come and help me. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Akbar's now a martyr, Allahu Akbar, Ali's gone. To his mother, how can I carry his torn body? I fear she'll die beside him. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Zainab, come and help me. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Akbar's now a martyr, Allahu Akbar, Ali's gone. To his mother, how can I carry his torn body? I fear she'll die beside him. Ali's gone. Come here, Zainab, my dear sister, assist me. The boy's head was severed right in front of me. Come here, sister, and help me. This is my decree, that I witness the slaughter of my progeny, that I witness the slaughter of my progeny. Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Zainab, come and help me. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Akbar's now a martyr, Allahu Akbar, Ali's gone. To his mother, how can I carry his torn body? I fear she'll die beside him. Ali's gone, Ali's gone. I come back to you empty-handed, all alone. Ali's gone. I witnessed them cutting him with their spears. This dear one to his mother, when I wrap him with the shroud, I fear she'll die beside him. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Zainab, come and help me. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Akbar's now a martyr, Allahu Akbar, Ali's gone. To his mother, how can I carry his body? I fear she'll die beside him. Ali's gone. I'm his father and I could not even recognize him. How can I carry his corpse to his mother in that tent? I fear for his mother's and sister's tender heart. I witness ripping his body right apart. Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Zainab, come and help me. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Akbar's now a martyr, Allahu Akbar, Ali's gone. To his mother, how can I carry his torn body? I fear she'll die beside him. Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My heart burnt when I saw that butcher over him. Oh Zainab, he laughed while cutting him into pieces. They broke and crushed every bone, and to his mother, how can I carry his torn body? I fear she'll die beside him. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Zainab, come and help me. Ali's gone, Ali's gone, Ali's gone. My dear Akbar's now a martyr, Allahu Akbar, Ali's gone. To his mother, how can I carry his torn body? I fear she'll die beside him. Ali's gone, Ali rah, Ali rah. Ya Zainab, قومي سنديني. Ali rah, Ali rah, علي راح. تعالي وعاونيني بشد الجراح. أشيله شلون لأمه خافت تموت يمه. أشيله شلون لأمه أخاف تموت يمه علي راح علي زقان
يا حسين 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 بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا ہے جان اب لبوں پر ہے جان اب لبوں پر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بابا نظر کو پھیر لو دم ٹوٹنے لگا برچی کے پھل سے خون ہے دل کا رکا ہوا ابلے گا خون زمین پر ابلے گا خون زمین پر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا سانسیں اکھڑ رہی ہے تو مردم ہی نفس بھی کرتے ہو ہم کو ہے تاکید صبر کی کہتے ہو تھام کے جگر کہتے ہو تھام کے جگر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا میں نے تمہیں بلایا تھا تاکہ میں کہہ سکوں بالکل نہ غم کرو میرے دل کو ہے اب سکون بیٹھے رہو یہاں مگر بیٹھے رہو یہاں مگر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے حسین باپ کو بہلا رہے ہیں آپ معلوم ہے یہاں سے کہاں جا رہے ہیں آپ کہتے ہو منہ کو پھیر کر کہتے ہو منہ کو پھیر کر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا اکبر پکار باپ سے دل کو سنبھالیے ٹوٹی سی نہ کرے میں رہنے ہی دیجیے نکلے گا ساتھ میں جگر نکلے گا ساتھ میں جگر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا بولے بدر سے اکبر برچی نہ کھینچنا مولا نے یا علی کہا को संभाल कर फिर खुद ही लड़खड़ा गए पर्ची निकाल कर कहता रहा जवाब सर कहता रहा जवाब सर पर्ची न खींचना बोले पदर से अकबर पर्ची न खींचना बोले पदर से अकबर पर्ची न खींचना है जान अब लबों पर है जान अब लबों पर पर्ची न खींचना बोले पदर से अकबर पर्ची न खींचना बोले पदर से अकबर पर्ची न खींचना या हुसैन
یا حسین
या हुसैन
زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر ہے میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر ہے میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر لاش اکبر پہ شاہ جب پہنچے دل کو ہاتھوں سے تھام کر بولے تیری فرقت میں علی اکبر آگ دل میں میرے لگا دی ہے آگ دل کی بجھاؤں میں کیسے آگ دل کی بجھاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر ہے میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر تو ہے کریل جوان ہے بیٹا باپ تیرا ضعیف ہے کتنا نور آنکھوں کا ہو گیا رخصت مجھ کو آتا نہیں نظر خیمہ لے کے خیموں میں جاؤں میں کیسے لے کے خیموں میں جاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر ہے میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر جس نے 18 سال پالا تھا کیسے دیکھے گی وہ تیرا لاشا تیری شادی کا تھا جسے ارماں کیسے جھیلے گی وہ تیرا صدمہ تیری ماں کو بتاؤں میں کیسے تیری ماں کو بتاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر ہے میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر بھائی بہنوں کا ہے دنیا کی لاج رکھ لینا مر گیا تو بتاؤں میں کیسے مر گیا تو بتاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر ہائے میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر لطف جینے میں اب کہاں اکبر دل سے اٹھتی ہے یہ فغاں اکبر صبح عاشور دی تھی جو تو نے خون رلائے گی وہ اذاں اکبر تیری صورت بھولاؤں میں کیسے تیری صورت بھولاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر ضبط غم کا وہ حال ہے بیٹا دیکھو کیسے یہ زخم سینے کا میں تو پردیس میں اکیلا ہوں دیکھ کر زخم کیا کروں بتلا اس پہ مرہم لگاؤں میں کیسے اس پہ مرہم لگاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر ہائے میرے سحر والا اکبر اکبر ہائے میرے سحر والا اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر میرے سحر والا اکبر
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا علي المرتضى السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله السلام عليك يا علي الزين العابدين ومحمد الباقر وجعفر الصادق وموسى القادم وعلي الرضا ومحمد تقي وعلي النقي والحسن العسكري ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن وكابة الإيمان وإمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل الله تعالى مخرجه وظهوره ورحمة الله وبركاته